And hello, everybody. Jim Noble here with women's basketball head coach Jimmy Garrity. It's a brave new world for the Wofford basketball women's coaches show. It's 2020. Instead of meeting at RJ Rockers like we usually do in Spartanburg, Jimmy, we're like the rest of the world meeting virtually here. How you doing today?
We're doing well, doing great. I'd much rather be at the RJ Rockers here, but no, this will do. 2020 has been quite different and challenging, but we feel very thankful and blessed to still be able to play and still practice and still be around each other. So sorry we're not in person, but this will do just fine.
Well, let's start with all the craziness and all the changes and everything every basketball coach in America has had to deal with. Let's talk first about Jimmy Garrity. How are you doing during all of this? Take us back to conference tournament time back in March, and then as things got really crazy. How have you dealt with the evolution of the situation that really every American finds themselves still in?
Yeah, it's been really challenging. Some things have been good, to get back to a little more basic living and things like that. But yeah, when you think back in March, who would have thought we would be, December, and still be like this? But those first few months were kind of cool, being with my family and hanging out at home, getting out the card games and board games and doing puzzles and going on bike rides. Jenny and I bought bikes and we put a lot of miles on those bikes, but you know, uh, always wanting to be around our players and get them back because they went home and finished this rest of the semester at home. So did a lot of zooming and got, the technology, got a little bit more savvy in that regard, and, stayed in contact with them throughout the summer, and just did the best we could, and came back in, September. And I'm really, Wofford and their administration has just done a wonderful job. And I give all the credit to the students. Like, our students have been just amazing to be able to come back in person and to stay throughout the whole semester. Has just been phenomenal. And they've been, wearing their mask, and it's different because it's not like their normal college. And we keep telling our freshmen, hey, this isn't really what college is typically like, but we're dealing with it the best we can. But it's been great just being around our players and the program, and I think our players really enjoy being around each other too. So at the end of the day, we're very grateful.
Well, it took me, I think, 7 months, almost 7 months to get back on campus after the
Yeah,
shutdown in March. And like you, I've been impressed with the protocols. Wofford, knock on wood, can't see the wood
yeah,
table I'm on, but has done very well comparatively. I'm the father of a college senior down in Florida, and have seen
yeah.
what the other side, the parents and the students go through. And yeah, I echo your thoughts. Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little hoop. Off to a
Okay.
3-2 start. Some solid road wins for the Terriers. Got a couple more non-conference games coming up. Let's just start with that. Your overall thoughts at the way you've started off the season through the first 5 games.
Yeah, I've been really pleased. This team, they enjoy being around each other, and it is showing up on the court. And I think they've taken that attitude of gratefulness too, just to be playing. They see where other teams are at, and other schools and other programs and other sports not being able to play. So they haven't wasted 1 minute thinking about that and really being positive about the whole thing. But I think we've been playing pretty well, on the road. We at College of Charleston, that first road game, we did not play very well, and we missed a lot of shots that we normally should make. But we were down 20 plus, but to come back and have, I think, two or three possessions down by just five with the ball, just said a lot about, I think it gave us confidence. And when we go back and watch film and you just look at, you just change a couple of those possessions, and it could be really different. But then we follow that up. We've been on the road almost the whole time. We follow that up with a really good team at High Point. They're good, and they can really score the ball. They shoot a lot of threes. They They run a motion offense that's honestly it's hard to guard, and we did some things that we don't normally do defensively, but our players totally bought in, and we played really well despite not shooting the ball well from the free throw line. We came away there with a big road win, and I think it gave them confidence on the defensive end because honestly, our defense won us that game. In the past, we've been able to score the ball really well our first few years here, and this year up to this point, we've struggled scoring it a little bit. But then at Asheville, we got back on the scoring track there. We played really well up there, and historically, that has been a tough place for us to play. And so I was really proud of how we played. We guarded them really well. We made shots, and it was fun. It was a fun trip. And then our last game at Xavier, a Big East team, they're long, they're athletic, they're talented. And we just played. It didn't phase us. Their length, and we played really well. Had the ball 2 times under a minute, down 3, to tie or possibly take the lead there a couple of times. And you just look back at watching film, and you just change one possession, 1 or 2 possessions that go the other way, maybe our way, and we had the ball the last possession to win it. We're going overtime, but we came out of there feeling really confident. And I just like where this team is at. And I think as a team offensively, we're going to evolve as the season goes. And we've kind of seen that progression in the last month.
Well, when we come back, I want to drill down into that a little bit deeper because you had to replace some stalwarts from last year, most notably Deja Green and Chloe Wanick. And you've done it with balance. You've done it with more than 1, more than 2, more than 3 players. So we'll talk about that when we come back. You're watching the Jimmy Garrity Coaches Show, brought to you by RJ Rockers. We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back to the Jimmy Garrity Show. Jimmy, we were talking about how you replace players like Chloe Wanick and Deja Green and some more senior leadership as well. And the thing that struck me over the first 5 games, offensively, amazing balance. You've got 4 players averaging over 8.5 points a game. I don't think anybody's averaging more than 11 or so. Talk about the players that have stepped up, because you can't replace leadership and production like that with just 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, I mean, off of last year's team, those 3 players, Cairo included with Deja and Chloe, and then of course Jamie added some great leadership and great teammate too, and that's a lot of minutes to be. Those guys average 30 plus minutes a game. And so, but I'm really impressed of how we've come together and shared the basketball. And I think it's going to be that way all year long. I think we have right around 5, almost right at 10 points a game. And, I think, throughout the season, it's going to be one person that might get to 14, 15, but you're going to have quite a few, those 5 or 6 that are right 8+ points a game. And I think that's hard to scout. It makes us difficult to guard, but those guys have done a tremendous job of sharing the ball. And it's not just going to be one person scoring all the points. Like, we're fortunate to have that number 1, Chloe Wanick, averaging 17 to 19 points each year. But we're going to have to do it with more individual players to make up that loss of points.
In a strange way, can that be a benefit? If you're an opposing coach and you're scouting Wofford, you can't say, let's stop number 1. Let's double team this player. You've got it spread around. You guys have got to be a matchup nightmare and a scouting nightmare in some way.
Yeah, I think so. So again, any one of them are capable of going 20 plus points. Jackie is one. We haven't really shot the ball that well as a team, but I promise you, we shoot it better. We're better shooters than what we've shown. So eventually, I am not concerned about that. I know our players kind of get caught up in that a little bit. I'm not concerned because I know how they shoot it in practice, and eventually that's going to catch up to us. But I do. I think we have. I think our strengths really are our inside play, our post play, and I think up to this point we've just played really, really hard. And I go back to saying this because I've said it quite a bit. They are having fun playing together, and that makes a difference on the court. And it's kind of shown. And they share the ball well. They don't really care who scores the points, and it's just been fun to coach them.
Well, that's kind of been a hallmark of all the Jimmy Garrity teams. I think not just at Wofford through your whole career, players having fun, playing, players invested in each other, players caring about each other. It shows when I see you guys on the floor. Sometimes seniors take the lead in that kind of. They've heard your message for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You only have one senior on this year's team, Jamari McDavid, and she, of course, is one of the key contributors. How about the leadership void with the players that you mentioned that left the team after last year, graduating and moving on? Is that something that a coach can kind of dictate, or does that have to happen organically within the locker room?
It is better if it happens organically. And these guys, this team in particular, has really taken that approach. And we've had multiple leaders emerge. We have different leaders throughout the week in practice, but they all have the same mindset. They all want to be great teammates. They all want to play as best as we possibly can play and play together. And I've always said, and they've heard me say it a million times, best teams are those teams that are player led. And this year's team, and they've been holding each other accountable, and they're good kids. I mean, we've got high character kids that are great academically, enjoy being around each other, and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And it's just shown. So we just have that one senior, but we have 7 juniors. So from that regard, we're young, but we're not that young. We're fine. So we brought in 4 freshmen that I think they're all really talented, and Lily's our lone sophomore. So, but she's really good player and has in her leader in her own right too.
Now, I'm going to go against what I've been saying for the last 10 minutes, talking about the balance and nobody really dominating the headlines. But I do want to ask you about Helen Matthews, your newcomer from New Zealand. We've seen her on the floor, tremendous competitor. Talk about the recruiting process that brings a player from New Zealand to Spartanburg and how she first appeared on your radar.
Well, that happened when Deja graduated early. Throughout that whole summer, we weren't recruiting a point guard, so we didn't have that need. And then we found that out, it was a little bit of a scramble. And I've always approached it is I'm not going to sign somebody just to sign somebody. I mean, they got to be good enough. They got to fit our culture. They got to be able to help us win a championship. And so we found out about her through some of our contacts, and then as you get to talk to her over the phone or through Zoom and her parents, we find out we're very like-minded and with her teammates too. And so we built that relationship in a hurry, starting probably in February and March. But she's been great. She's came over here sight unseen. We did the FaceTime and stuff and kind of showed her around, but still it's a gamble for her too, right? She's got to trust us, and her parents do, and sending her all the way over this 24-hour flight. And but she has, right from the get-go, she has just fit right in. She's very talented. She's 5'11" guard, very, very athletic, can guard multiple positions, handle it well, shoots it really good. And she's just getting started. She's going to end up being a really good player for us. But we're thankful to have her on the team.
Well, I'm counting on that game down in New Zealand in a few.
Yeah, I know.
I'm volunteering for that trip, just so you know. So Helen can play in front of the home fans. We'll have to check the budgets, on
Yeah,
that
that.
one,
Yeah,
airfares
yeah,
and things like that. But
yeah. I was trying to schedule the recruiting trip over there, but that didn't work out. But yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jim.
we'll get it done. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look ahead at the last couple of non-conference games coming up for the Terriers and take a look at what's transpired so far amongst our SoCon opposition and what we can look forward to come January. The Jimmy Garrity Show rolls on right after this.
It really touches my heart that individuals at Ingalls treat you like family. They invest their love into you, they invest their business into you, and they give back to communities in rural areas like ours. I don't know exactly where family farmers like mine would be without Ingalls supermarkets.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Jimmy Garrity Coaches Show. The Wofford women's basketball team, 3-2. Got a couple of non-conference tests left before conference play begins. Jimmy, I don't know if the schedule makers did you any favors, and I know scheduling has been crazy this year. You get to go to Lexington, Kentucky to face the Iron of the SEC. Kentucky coming up. Talk to me about the challenge and what it means to your players. Anytime you get to play on a stage like that and play against a Power 5 team, it means a lot to that group.
It does. They see Kentucky on the headlines. They see the arena that they play in, or a top 10 team in the country. And it's just fun it's a challenge. Listen, they're really, really good. They're long, they're athletic, they can score it every which way, and they guard really hard. So it'll be a challenge, but we're just taking an approach. Hey, we're grateful to play, and we're going to have fun on this road trip. It's our last road trip before Christmas break. So we're going to enjoy it. We're going to give them our best shot, and we'll see what happens.
How does a game like that benefit the team in the long run? Where you look back, maybe when you begin, the conference play, playing a team like Kentucky, how does that help you?
Well, let's hope it does help us here. But yeah, it just they're really talented, and if we can go in there and play well, and be able to score the ball and guard their stuff and take care of the ball. All those things just help you down the road, because if we can do that against a top 10 team in the country, then we should be able to do that against our own conference. So it'll be very challenging, but I know our players are excited to play them. That's one of the games that you can look back as your career goes through and you graduate, you're an alumni, and you can look back at those type of games that you got to play.
All right. In the meantime, life rolls on in the Southern Conference. What's been your impression? I know you guys keep tabs from afar and see how the conference teams are doing. As we head into the season, is it a case of the usual suspects? Is it your Furmans, your UNCGs? I know Mercer kind of had a wacky year last
Yeah.
year. But in terms of where your biggest competition is going to come from, is it the same slate of characters that we've seen the last few years, or are there some changes at the top?
I think you can look at where the coaches were picked and the schools were picked. Mercer's very talented. They're talented from top to bottom, and Susie doesn't play very many players. She only plays about 7, and those 7 are really, really good. Sanford is another one that they returned quite a bit. They added some transfers, so they're going to be good. Furman obviously is always good and right down the road from us. But really, top to bottom, you better bring your A game each time. Those teams that are historically at the bottom, I'm telling you, they're good, and they're going to surprise some people.
Mhm.
And this year has been a little bit different because, the way the scheduling has worked, and you don't quite know. Some people are playing, some people are out. Are they out because of, contact tracing or injuries and things like that? So it's just going to be a wacky year altogether. And, we just want to be able to play, so you got to take care of yourself and in order for games to not be canceled. And we've been fortunate that We haven't had any game canceled. We have no positive tests. So, but I think the league this year, like last year too, a handful of people can win it, and they're all good. And the way they've matched the schedule up, we're going to play back to back. So if we go on the road to like UNCG, then we'll play either Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. So back to back, which would be interesting.
I wanted to ask you about that. That was next on my list. The women have done what the Southern Conference men have yet to do. They've gone to that back-to-back scheduling. So you'll play some teams all on the road. You'll play some teams all at home. The way that works out for Wofford, are there benefits in some areas, losses? We all miss our home crowd, and we want the students and then hopefully the fans to hopefully get back by the end of the season. But the way it shook out for you and your bunch, how do you think it affects you?
I think we came out pretty good. I mean, to be honest with you, we opened up here with Furman. So with your travel partner, that is the only game you'll play them home and away. So we'll play them home our first match, first game, and then our last game of the year. But overall, I kind of like the way it shook out for us. It'll scouting will be different. So you'll do the one scout, and then you'll make adjustments on that day off to play them again. But in that regards, maybe that makes it a little bit easier. But it'll be interesting, and it'll be fun. It'll be a fun year.
That to me, I think, is going to be the most intriguing thing. I know I've watched some teams have already gone through this in some of the other conferences. When you beat a team the first game, it's really hard to come back and 48 hours later try to beat them again, because when you win, naturally you're going to say, let's just do what we did the first time.
Yeah.
When you lose, you're going to make those adjustments. How is that dynamic going to work for the coaching staff?
It is. It's going to be really interesting. And I'm, to be honest, I'm kind of excited about it. And, I think you can use that as motivation on both ends. Hey, look, we just won Thursday night, Saturday night. I'm going to tell you what, guys, they're going to make some adjustments. They're not going to play like they played Thursday night. We got to be ready, and we're going to have to make the adjustments too. And I think when by the same token, you can do that same motivation on the other end. You lose Thursday. Hey, we make these small adjustments, and I feel really good about Saturday's game. So, but everybody's going through that, and I think we'll do just fine with it.
Last question before we break. How much, if any, more importance is there on conference play? Just because, Jimmy, life is so uncertain right now. We may get to March and things could be, some people are saying you have to play as if there might not be a conference tournament, because who knows what's going to happen. And I know you always put emphasis on conference games anyway, but is that heightened this year?
For sure. And that's really the approach. Hey guys, guess what? The way the cases are going throughout the country, I think January is in jeopardy, and all that's going on. So let's play. You just don't know what's going to happen. Let's play our next game like it's going to be our last game, and let's see what happens. So the conference deal, if we have positive cases and then contact tracing, you may miss a couple of games, and then do you get any chance to reschedule those games? And then who knows by the end of February where we're at and what it looks like, who's played who, how many games have we played, have we got them all in, is there going to be a conference tournament? So honestly, for us, we're just taking it one day at a time. Again, I think our message to everybody and our team feels like it's, I know they feel this, we're just grateful to be playing. And that's the approach we're going to take.
I agree. When we come back, we'll take a little look inside the program, how they've dealt with all these new protocols and new way of life. That's next here on the Jimmy Garrity Show.
Download the General Shell My Designs app and build your dream today.
And welcome back to the Jimmy Garrity Show, brought to you by RJ Rockers, our first coaches show of this 2020-2021 season. I can't wait, by the way, to stop saying 2020. It's just been that kind of year. I'm sure a lot of coaches agree. Let's talk about the fact that we've gotten to this point, Jimmy. We're playing college basketball. That's so incredibly awesome on so many levels. You know, it's just so cool after what everybody's gone through. But to get to this point, it's been a lot of work on your part. Your assistants, you know, Mike and Amanda at Trent have done yeoman's work. Your trainers, the other staff members. Can you give folks a little look behind what it takes to get on the court for practice in terms of testing and new measures, and not just the things we see on game day?
Yeah, a lot of people have no idea, right? Yeah, we're testing 3 days a week. And it is a lot of planning to just make a road trip to go play someplace else. The planning that has to take place, you know, you got to get a hotel that is okay with, that can, number one, they're open for food, like you can eat there, and you know, do they have spacing available? You know, because all that is a huge issue. And to play our home games, the people in charge of the facility to keep it clean, to make sure all our testing is right, to make sure we have enough hand towels, masks, spacing of the chairs. You know, a lot of science and stuff went into all that, but it's been just a lot of planning just to take place. Thankful for our administration, that they've given us the resources to be able to do all this. But there's so many things that go into just playing and just practicing, that people don't even realize what happens. Our training staff has just been amazing when we have to test here on campus, keeping water bottles clean, all these things that you just kind of forget about, but you don't really realize.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it firsthand a little bit, not even scratching the surface of what you guys have to go through. I'm really looking forward to that testing 3 times a week. Let me tell you, I had my first one down in Spartanburg the other day, and it's a real treat. But hey, if that's the price to pay for playing college basketball, I'm all for it.
I have no problems with it.
Yeah. Your holiday break after the Kentucky game. How much do you worry sometimes about the mental health of your players going through all this? A lot of them can't visit their families because they're going through this to be able to play basketball. As a staff, do you guys address that? Are you doing anything special over the holidays? I mean, these kids need to see their family, and it's a hard thing for a coaching staff to deal with, I imagine.
Yeah, well, it's important. It's important to our program. It's important to the livelihoods of our student athletes. And I'm excited for them to be able to go home and spend some time with their family, because up to this point, they really haven't. You know, Thanksgiving, we usually get a day or two that they can go home. Some parents came here. So I think it's really, really important for them to spend a week or so at home. So a lot of them will leave from that Kentucky trip. And then at the end of the day, you got to be safe too. You know, while you're home, you know, you still got to continue to wear the mask. You still got to continue to social distance and wash your hands. But we do talk about that, and our players know it, and their not only their physical health, but their mental health is very, very important to us. And I'm excited for them to be able to spend some time with the family.
Well, you guys have done an amazing job so far. The entire Wofford College community, the athletic department in particular, I've just been blown away. I've seen the other side of it at a lot of other schools where it's not quite going as well. So hats off to everybody who's gotten us to this point. And hats off on the solid start to the season. Best of luck as we get through non-conference play. Can't wait to kick things off with a bang with Furman in that first conference game. And stay safe. Happy holidays to you and your family, and look forward to many more Jimmy Garrity shows, even virtually, as the season rolls on.
Hey, we'll take it any way we can get it. Thanks so much, Jim. You guys stay safe, and we feel very fortunate to be in the situation we're in.
All right. Thanks to Jimmy. Thanks to all the folks at RJ Rockers for sponsoring our coaches show. Hope you enjoyed this virtual version of the Wofford Basketball Coaches Show. We'll do this with Jimmy. We'll do this with head coach Jay McCauley on the men's side as well. So stay with us all season long. For Jimmy Garrity, I'm Jim Noble. Thanks for watching, everybody.